Thank you for joining us today in our continuing Lunch and Learn series, co-sponsored by the Chappaqua Millwood Chamber of Commerce in the town of Newcastle. Today we have two local business owners who will discuss how to stay alive and relevant during these unusual times that we find ourselves in, as we all have experienced reopening, which we all know is not just opening the doors. It requires masks, sanitizing the area, in some cases plexiglass partitions, and a whole lot more. Our presenters have lived through these by opening their doors, and they'll talk to their experience and can help you and yours help with their experiences and hopefully help you through yours. We have with us Laura Schaefer of Scattered Books, who has a business right here in downtown Chappaqua, and Alan Shepton of Shepton Tutoring Group, and they'll share their best practices for reopening their businesses. Laura Schaefer owns Schaefer's Scattered Bookstore, a retail bookstore that also hosts other author events, parties, and is home for the famous bookstore with bunnies. In a former life, Laura was a lawyer and a COO of Fixed Income Research and a kids author. Now, Scattered Books is happily her full-time gig and has become a wonderful hub of the community. Laura has employed various effective and creative strategies to keep a small retail business afloat during the last few months. Alan Shepton is an MBA and former Shepton Tutoring Group, which he formed in 2007 to offer test prep, academic support, and expert advice on all things for high school. In the past 12 years, his team has grown to 35 tutors. They offer private tutoring groups, classes, courses for SAT, ACT, AP exams, and Regent reviews. I'd like to start with Laura. So Laura, could you please start by telling us something about how you've opened up your store? Even during COVID, I know you were offering some services, and how you reopened now and how you're doing.
Thanks, Rand. We did employ a variety of different services and had to adjust a lot of things during the pandemic. And now that we've reopened, we've been noticing already what's been working and not working. So I just wanted to share some of my experiences and tips with you guys. I, of course, as Rand said, own the bookstore where we make all kinds of gifts, and of course are home to the bookstore bunnies, which gives us a nice little unique edge. But even if you don't have a bunny, I would say the most important thing is communication. Make sure everyone and anyone knows that you're open, and not just one post on social media, but hitting Facebook, Instagram, your voicemail, and most importantly on Google. Not just a quick update. Make sure your Google business page is updated with a name, a description, and photos and your hours. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then just go to business.google.com. This is probably the single most important thing you can do online. And when you do upload photos to business.google.com, when someone searches for you, it'll all come up really beautifully on the screen with photos, your hours, and everything that you're offering. I find it helpful to have a certain day, like Social Media Monday, to go through the pain of posting on all the different forums. Even though most of us have lost our Twitter password about 3 years ago, I would just encourage you to go through the pain of just setting that all up, or better yet, find someone under 25 who works for you and have them do it. And then you can have one clear message every week to go out across all the platforms so everyone knows you're there and you're staying relevant. And even a short e-blast, I feel, is very helpful, keeping you at the forefront of people's minds. Other communication strategies we've used is to provide the Chamber of Commerce with a graphic for their weekly e-blast. That has been gaining some really nice momentum, and we've had more and more people coming in saying, oh, I saw what puzzles you have in stock from the Chamber e-blast. So I think that's becoming a really nice method of communication. And also just physical reminders. Even during the pandemic, people are just wandering through town. So now as they're wandering, Chappaqua Market has a huge sign in the window, so people know they could go in there. Whispering Pines has a beautifully decorated staircase. People know they can go in there. Squires has actual racks of merchandise outside. So it's all creating a very inviting physical atmosphere. So the communication to customers and potential customers is key, and also making it easy to shop because people are still wary. It's a whole new landscape. A bunch of us do personal shopping. Squire's house at 29. Here we can FaceTime with people. We can send them photos of ideas, maybe not just the one thing that they asked about, but a couple of related things. So maybe the purchase can be a little bit greater. I know some of the businesses have added a text option, which they've said is very effective. I know Desires by Mikole has a text line where they communicate with customers and can send photos. That's been great. Texting directly from the Kid website has been very successful for them. And Breeze also uses a live chat option on their website. And it just makes it that much easier to just quickly go back and forth and reach a decision on the purchase. And occasionally you can invest in an app like Bobo's does to actually have a totally seamless checkout experience. My other big strategy that's worked is to market specifically and not as much all over the place. So at the end of the COVID pause, we had holidays and there was a lot of seasonal options. We chose during Easter and Passover to hone in on that as our marketing. And we used that across all different social media platforms. We ended up delivering Easter baskets all over the place. And it proved more effective to just hone in on a seasonal item that could make a profit as opposed to 10 different tiny items, I guess. Similar to that, Mikole does grab and go gift boxes, which I know are great for graduation. Nicely pre-packaged item, make it really easy for people. And Breeze also has a grab and go bag, which I actually bought as a teacher thank you gift myself. Even if you don't have a whole packaged item, you could spin your products to just make it sound like a great idea. So instead of, we have some new releases, they're beat the heat bestsellers, get them now. And it kind of drums up a little bit of excitement. You tie them to a towel and now it's an amazing gift set as opposed to like a book and a towel, that kind of thing. We did a lot of gifts, a pandemic pick-me-up. If you know someone who's feeling a little down, maybe send them a puzzle and a book, maybe a third thing also. And a lot of people said they didn't even think of that was a thing, a pandemic pick-me-up, which of course it wasn't until I sort of created it. But I think it helps. Going into the summer, a camp substitute set might be an interesting idea for parents who have kids at home. And we get some interesting requests for people who are very hard to buy for. We've had a lot of requests to help. My kid hates to read. So instead of, just suggesting one book, we might do a whole going graphic novel set for them, with a lot of different options, and maybe that will help to hook them. So I think the way things are described gives people ideas, and it's also nice to receive something like that. It makes you feel a little bit special in this time. Similar to that is providing something that's hard for people to do themselves, basically. We probably made 50 Easter baskets, all of which people could have made for themselves, but it would have entailed going to 4 different stores, packaging, wrapping, delivering, and it's just difficult. So that was, I think, one of the reasons we were so successful with it, was something that was hard for people to do themselves. And King Scribe is another great example with their balloons. The balloon arrays that came out of their store for birthdays and for graduations were amazing, and would also be very difficult for someone at home to create themselves. So all of those things should definitely, go and be posted on social media Mondays and also on Google. Similar to that, like the Easter basket idea, is, for us at least, it's been helpful to focus on a smaller amount of things that we have more of, and also higher return items. Since people aren't browsing as much, it's difficult to put out a post if you only have 2 of an item. But if I have 10 of an item, but just less items overall, that makes it much easier, because when you go out with your advertising, you're pretty sure to have that product in stock when people ask, or to pair it with other items. So that is one thing that has helped us a lot, especially in battling stale merchandise, is to have a little bit less, a little more targeted, a little more curated picks, but more of them. So it is readily available for people. And of course, focusing on some of the higher return items. I know a lot of the stores have brands that are more expensive. We're a little limited with books, but I know retail in general, there are certain industries where the markup potential is higher, and to sort of hone in a little more on those items and keep people focused on them. Or, as I said, multiple items. So, just as an example, someone wanted a baby gift. They wanted 4 or 5 books for a baby gift, which is, great. We do a ton of stuff like that. The baby was born during the pandemic. So I presented 2 options. One was the 4 books, and then the other was this. So as soon as they see this, like, oh my God, I want that. Because we take a lot of care in the presentation. It's not just to get more money. It actually is a more special, beautiful gift. So those are the kind of opportunities we've been trying to leverage during this time, because really every upsale and every higher priced item that moves does count. And we always thank our customers for coming to us and how much we appreciate them, as we actually do. And I feel like some things can translate. We used to do kids parties, which was a lot of our business. So we thought, how can we translate that into a safe, COVID-friendly environment? So we've started hosting outdoor activities, outdoor parties, where it's very easy to maintain all of the safety guidelines, the distancing, all of that, and the kids can still have a semi-normal experience for a play date or a party. There's lots of options, and of course, the bunny, which is very helpful. So that's how we've translated some of our work, in addition to offering the free delivery and accessibility and making it easy to shop here and get items. I have noticed some silver linings, some unique opportunities, I guess, coming out of this crisis. And I do always like to look on the bright side and feel like positive can come out of negative in most cases. A lot of businesses have used the opportunity to ramp up their websites. Either they've been forced to, or no one had time to do it before. I know HipKit has definitely done that. I know Amazing Pottery in Briarcliff has definitely done that. And their websites really look great, are much more e-commerce friendly, that type of thing. It's also a great time to get information about your customers. So if you have a point of service system that has fields about the customer, you can fill in tons of information there, their name, you can write the name of their kids, their family, items they've bought in the past, things like that. So when they come in again and you look at it, it can be more of a personal experience, and you can use that information other than just practically speaking, building an email list, which is very helpful for the e-blast that we talked about before for Social Media Monday. Practically speaking, it's a unique opportunity to get rid of old stock. If someone is making a big gift set and you maybe have a lot of one thing, just slip it right in there. It's still a perfectly good product if it fits with the theme, and it can help you get rid of some of your old stock. And there's also some time, if you can return items to the wholesaler, you can get a bit of a credit back. We definitely did a lot of returns, even with a small penalty. It did kind of help so we can just get fresher merchandise in the store. We've donated some things, and generally cleaning out the space. Because if you have no customers, you might as well have no customers in a nice, uncluttered, organized environment. To that end, we are hoping to host a sidewalk sale the last week of July. And I know a lot of the merchants are excited to reunite with some of their customers in that way. So that is something to be on the lookout for in the future. And some other unique things are teaming up. us and Breeze made a beautiful, huge baby basket with our books and a beautiful baby blanket and some accessories from Breeze. We wrapped it up. It was gorgeous. And it was nice to be able to do something together because all the merchants really do try to make an effort to help each other. And Micole does this a lot, running an online event for a cause or a certain week or weekend. The proceeds go to a particular charity. And I think it's a good time for that because people are feeling like they want to give back. They want to do something, anything to help. So running those kinds of things, whether it's an online purchase, has been very helpful. And I would say the biggest silver lining for us is just kind of feeling the appreciation of, being in a community that's actually come together during a crisis instead of splitting apart. And I think that kind of cohesiveness has been amazing and might have eluded us otherwise. So that has, at least for me, been the most amazing silver lining. And I think that will be key to the whole downtown really coming back strong.
Great. Laura, thank you. And, you can see from Laura's involvement in town and with other merchants, the merchants really do all pull together. And she has a wonderful store and they've really enhanced what town is. And we all should try to shop locally and take advantage of the rebirth of downtown area. It looks great now. And I think all the merchants are trying to really make a strong go of it. And reopening has been really a blessing to downtown. So we'll hold some questions and you can post your questions on the chat board. We'll answer them later. Laura, I hope you stay around for the questions later. And I'd like to now turn it over to Alan. And Alan Shepton, who formed Shepton Tutoring back in 2007 and has been a real help to the younger members of our community and can help us with how a professional organization has been helping reopening as well. And Alan, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Great. Okay, so we're a professional organization, so we provide a service, we don't provide a good. And our target market are students from basically 13 to about 25 years old. In March, when the crisis began and schools started shutting down, the first thing that happened was that the SATs and the ACTs were canceled for March, April, May, and June. Many of our students were taking those exams and immediately business stopped. Parents said, if our students aren't taking the exam, why should we spend the money right now to do tutoring? I understood their predicament. It's not cheap to do tutoring, but by the same token, we didn't want our students to backpedal either. So we just said, let's stay in touch. I tried to explain to them what the students should be doing in the meantime, and we left it at that. The other thing that happened was one of our biggest programs is we do a Regents Review program in June, and we attract about 900 students to our program, and that brings us a revenue of close to $250,000 every year. And New York State decided to cancel the Regents altogether. We had started doing our marketing in February for the Regents and already had a roster of about 120 students who were signed up for classes. So I still had a bulk of money. So my first dilemma was, what do I need to do here? Do I just say to everybody here, let me give you your money back? Because I wanted to make sure also that I wasn't going to go under financially. I still have my rent to pay. I still have my internet to pay. I still have all my obligations as a small business, all my fixed costs. So what I did to all the clients that paid already, I said to them, you have two choices. I will reimburse you, no problem. Or I will not only keep you can keep a credit with us, and we're going to enhance it by 25% for next year. You can use it for private tutoring, use it for a course for next year, whatever you want. And it's about 50% of people took the credit, 50% wanted their money back, no problem, whatever you wanted. The response from the people who asked for the credit was extremely positive and extremely grateful. They said, we can't believe how, what's the best word to say? How ethical your business is, okay? And they said, we don't see that from many other educational educational consulting firms around here. And that made me feel extremely good. The second thing that we did was we decided that we do also AP reviews, and those are going to be live. Same thing, we migrated that immediately to a Zoom environment. It worked very well, but we also lowered our pricing. We kind of felt that we weren't paying rent because we usually rent out space at World Cup. We didn't have to do a lot of printing. So we decided, let me pass those costs on to my clientele. Again, I didn't know who was going to be suffering. So I wanted to make sure, again, that I was being as ethical as I possibly could be without giving away the house. Same thing, it built a lot of goodwill, it built a lot of loyalty. What I also did was I decided that because I'm a member of several professional organizations that I work with educational consultants nationally and internationally, I reached out to every single educational consultant in my organization. I'm a member of what's called the Independent Educational Consultants Association. I'm a professional member, which means that I'm very thoroughly vetted in the college and education process. I'm also a certified education planner. There are only 14 of us in all of New York State. So I did have to take an exam, I had to maintain my accreditation. It's fairly prestigious. So I reached out to everybody and I said, look, everybody's in the same boat here. I'm going to create materials for free that I will send to you. You can send them to your students. I'm also going to do a once a week free workshop for SAT and ACT prep, again, to build goodwill. What has all that done for me? Okay. I've acquired several clients from outside of my normal target market, which is Westchester and Putnam County. So I have students now who are from Louisiana. I have kids from Massachusetts. I have students from Minnesota. I have students who are in Texas. I actually received a call from another consultant who was going to, who's offered a lot of business in China, and she wasn't going to take it. I've now acquired several clients in China. I've acquired clients in the UK. I've acquired clients in Turkey. What does this mean for me? And what's the upshot? The upshot's the following: stay relevant. Do something to benefit the community without looking at from a mercenary perspective. That will come sooner or later. The other thing that I made sure that I did was, because there were so many rumors out there and there was so much misinformation, I made sure that anything that I learned, I immediately posted to my Facebook page, Shepton Tutoring Group. I also posted on Chappaqua Moms. I posted on every single Facebook group where I'm a member, where I know that moms and dads are heavily involved. So I want to show that I am the subject matter expert in this area. If you need information, come to me. And I've had people who have worked with some of my competitors, some other companies, and they said, you know something, you're the only one who's providing information. Where's everybody gone? So I think, again, that willingness to share information and to be confident in the ability that you have information and not to withhold it and to think, well, why should I get paid for this, for every single thing that I do, is really, really crucial. Same thing, it's brought a lot of goodwill. It's brought business to me. It's brought new clients that I've never had before and new markets that I never dreamed of in the last 6 or 7 months. Business is still down, obviously, but what I'm noticing is I'm noticing that already, usually summer's are quieter for me. I'm extremely busy this summer, which I'm really happy about. So I've gotten more business. I've had some of my former students who are now in college coming back to me saying, I need help. I'm taking a summer course. Can you find someone to work with me on course X, Y, or Z? I actually had a former client come to me and say that her son, who is currently a rising senior at a university, is thinking of doing a master's program. And would I help her son go through the process of applying for this master's program? It's something I've never done before, but I want to learn, and I'm willing to learn with the student. Again, bringing a different source of revenue. I think overall, the things I've learned during this crisis are to keep calm. Okay, I really, when it first happened, I noticed that my business was really going down. I was extremely nervous. But then I said, okay, what can I do to, one, keep myself busy, even though maybe I'm not bringing in as much revenue as I was, and two, this will pass. And if you stay relevant, if you empower people, you keep them informed and you let them know what's going on, and you don't look at, well, even though I'm not making any money at this point, I'm making less than I should be making or could be making, that all that will come back to you in spades. That's the bottom line. I reduced my normal hourly rate, same reason, again, because I wanted to provide some empathy. I knew people were either being furloughed or their hours were reduced. My brother-in-law, who works for a real estate development company in New York City, he had salary cut by 50%. Several people that I know were furloughed. Number of people, my daughter-in-law lost her job, her company went under. So even though we are in the community of affluence, we don't know what's going on in people's backyards. We don't know what's going on in their bedrooms. So same thing, I wanted to make sure that I was being fair and reasonable and not just thinking just for myself as part of the greater good. So that's kind of how I saved, kept my business going, kept my sanity, and to keep the momentum going in my organization. And the other thing that I did was I wanted to make sure that I did not reduce rates for my team. I reduced them very slightly, just temporarily, even though I was taking a cut. I didn't want them to have to take the cut. I said, I'll just fall on the sword for a little while. That's perfectly fine.
I thank you for all that. I think what Alan and Laura have taught us for this Lunch and Learn is really important information. I run a solar company. I think I've mentioned that in past Lunch and Learns, and a lot of what they have put forth is the same thing that we have seen in our business is you need to stay relevant. You need to reinvent yourself at times. We have found in our reopening is that the world has changed a little bit. What we saw before all this happened was part of our business, the residential part of the business was growing strong, and it's still there. It's still very relevant, but the residential customer is a little bit concerned out there. What has taken off is our commercial business. Commercial business has grown crazily. So we just need to take a look at what's there and readjust. You need to stay relevant to what the world is, and we needed to readjust. And I think, Alan, you said it there. You needed to be honest with your clients and adjust to what they want, and to be trustworthy with them and be straightforward with them. And people appreciate that. People appreciate the trust and the honesty that you have with them, and adjust to what they're going through as well.
The other thing that we also do, just I forgot to mention this, but we've done a number of webinars also about the college process. So myself with Emily Bloom, who also has a business in town, she's also an education consultant. We had several webinars about what's changing for the next academic or application year and what's staying the same. So we talked about that and the urgency for students to stay relevant and stay involved. I also teamed up with 7 education consultants in the New York area. We created a whole business called Colleges Unbranded, where we do webinars every 2 weeks, and we introduce families to colleges, but we reverse engineer the process. We tell the students and families about the school, what the school offers. We don't tell them the name of the school until after the school does the presentation. So like this, they listen to what a school can offer as opposed to what's the name on what would be the name of the bumper sticker in the back of their car. So it's been a very interesting process.
Got it. Laura, you mentioned Social Media Monday. Can you tell me a little more about what Social Media Monday is? Laura, you're on mute.
I'm back. Social Media Monday was basically a construct to overcome the dread of needing to post on all these different platforms, getting the content, making a nice graphic, and then posting to multiple sources, as I said, and retrieving your password at times, because it does involve a lot of different skill sets. But even a small announcement of your hours, or this is great for gifts this week, or this is a boredom buster, that type of thing. And then, it's almost like a checklist. What'll work well on Facebook, maybe a square version on Instagram. Make sure to tag lots of people and other organizations that might repost it for you. That's very helpful. And keep it updated on your answering machine, which apparently people listen to. And also on your Google business page, especially with the photos, because people will see that immediately when they search you on Google. And if it has a big, nice, eye-catching visual image, I think that that stays with people, as well as the e-blast. So I would just encourage having a message for each one, and it doesn't need to be extensive, but it should be focused, be visually appealing, you know, to the best of your graphic design abilities. And just as Alan said, so you're not out of sight, out of mind, and you're still offering things that people need, and also giving them ideas of things maybe they didn't know they needed. And now you've brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great time to use social media to try to bring in business. So if anyone out there is not using social media, this is something that you really should try to pick up on. I think Laura is one that uses social media a lot to try to drum up business, and it's been very successful for you, Laura. So, you know, one of the things that the chamber does offer is a weekly newsletter. And if you're not taking advantage of it, you really should be a member of the chamber, and you should try to take advantage of it. You can email the chamber directly, and we'd be more than happy to post your events on our weekly newsletter. It comes out every Friday morning. If there's something special you're doing and you want to send out that during the week, we will entertain that as well. Please send it to us, and we'll be more than happy to post it. If you have any questions, the chat box is open. We will stay online for a little bit longer to answer your questions at this point. Laura and Alan, if there's anything else you want to add to the session today, please let us know. Please speak up at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see many questions out on the chat box. I was hoping that we would have some at this point that we can respond to. If not, we'll probably end the session early today. I do appreciate everything that you two have contributed to our Lunch and Learn today. It's been a great session. Your input has been very valuable. I think everyone will take a lot from this panel discussion. I'll give it a few more minutes to see if anyone has any questions. But I took a lot from it. Alan, do you have something you want to contribute?
Just one quick thing. I think the more you keep your ear to the ground, the better off. So, parents were calling me, giving their observations of what was happening during the year, and it's giving me food for thought of things that we're going to be offering later in the summer to get kids ready for next year, because we know there is going to be a lot of backpedaling. So those are products and projects that right now are just in the development phase, and we'll start rolling out in about 3 weeks or so for August and September. Again, we want to make sure that everybody is up to speed. We don't know, again, what the reality is going to be in the classroom come September, but my feeling is I want to make sure that I'm responsible enough to ensure that the students that we service are as prepared as they need to be for their next year.
And is there summer school going on? Is that going to affect your tutoring services?
There isn't really summer school, but what we've got is a lot more demand and interest for test prep, because the College Board and the ACT have offered multiple administrations of the exam come August, September, and October. One of the things that we've noticed is a lot of families were kind of worried because there was a July administration of the ACT, and we heard people saying that they're going to go 3-4 hours away to get their child a spot for an exam. And I said, wait a second, take a step back, folks. You're driving 3-4 hours, you're adding more stress to your family, and your child's probably going to be in an unair conditioned building in a school that they don't even know, and they have to wear a mask to boot. Is that fair to your child? Are you going to get the most out of your child? So I tried to kind of talk some families off the ledge. And the way that we operate in our practice, we tend to be extremely calm about this whole thing, and we don't want people to feed into the frenzy. So that's one of our differentiating factors about how we tend to operate. Well, to many of the competitors that I've seen, basically in the whole Northeast. So we want everyone to keep in perspective, and that was also important to kind of keep telling that to people.
Gotcha. Well, I don't see any other questions coming in. I do want to thank both Laura and Alan for a great session today, both on reopening businesses. And I would say this one is really helpful to the younger people out there as well in educational capabilities. So thank you very much. And
Thanks,
I
Anthony.
will say at this point that we will end this session. Lyle, thank you for putting it all together for us, and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.